meet Michael Trevino. It's Caroline Forbes. She cheers, she sings, and now she bites. Say hello to Candice Accola. And now the woman who is partly responsible for all these bloody good tales. Let's hear it for executive producer and writer, Julie Plec. Welcome to Chicago. All right, I want to start off by asking, is anyone in Mystic Falls not good looking?
Not good looking. Not good looking. Oh. Yeah, no, it's the first rule of casting. Yeah.
All right, well, why don't we talk about that process a little bit, because you just went through it with Joseph Morgan for Klaus, who's playing Klaus. How do you decide, and what kind of, what's the process you go through to find someone?
Well, contrary to what it might look like with the beauty of the people that actually end up in the show, we do actually look for actors first. Actors who then, fortunately for us, also happen to be very good looking. But, with Klaus, we knew it was important that we found a fresh face and someone who could both carry kind of the old world vibe of that kind of character and also a contemporary fun swagger who could go toe to toe with Damon and be different enough from Elijah. And when we saw Joseph's tape, we were kind of just blown away because he's this charming, charismatic British fella who has been just joined the family in the last week, and it's nice to have him around, and I think he's going to do great things with us.
What sold you on these two?
Pardon me?
What sold you on these two?
Wow. These two were actually, our casting process in the pilot was so long and drawn out and arduous, and yet these two kind of almost had their parts immediately. Candice walked into the room and was just this beautiful ray of sunshine, and so funny and sparkly, and it's so much like Caroline in all the good ways without all the bad things that Caroline was plagued with in the beginning of season 1, and it was absolutely no-brainer. And Trevino just has everything that you want Tyler to be. He's incredibly...
Like a jerk? Is that what you
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
What I was
You can say
doing.
it. I'll say it. It's okay. I still love you.
He doesn't want to admit this, but he's super sensitivo. Like, he's got a good heart, this kid. And so for Tyler, the bully in season 1, he didn't really have a lot of layers. He was pretty much your stock bully. So we needed somebody that can really dig deep emotionally too, knowing the road we're going to go down. So that was a pretty easy choice.
Down there?
All right, so for Michael and Candice, when you were presented the project, was it kind of a no-brainer for you? Were you sold kind of immediately?
I was just happy for the opportunity to audition for Julie and Kevin and Bob Levy. And so it's just exciting sometimes just to get in the room with people that you've seen their work and you just admire what they've done in the business. So yeah, it was definitely a no-brainer.
Initially, to be honest, I read it and I was like, okay, what's the title of this? The Vampire Diaries. And we had Twilight and True Blood out, so at the time I thought, really, like another vampire show? Like, what's this about? But I've done a good amount of work for the CW network, and when I read the script, I liked it. I did a little bit of research on the books, but when it got down to it, it was the people behind it. It was Kevin Williamson and Julie Plec, who have an amazing track record, and I knew them together with something that's so hot in pop culture. I don't see how this could not be successful. And yeah, that's why I'm here in front of you, fine people.
All right. That sizzle reel kind of showed us that every episode is just jam-packed full of lots of action, lots of different things happening. How do you manage that? do you have like a formula where you say, okay, there's going to be one makeout scene with
One shirtless scene.
Yeah, one bath with one shirtless scene, one bathtub scene, or something like that. What's the when you go into the writers' room, how do you decide? Like,
Well, we have a bowl of everything scandalous and naked we can do to our actors, and then we just pick a name out of the hat. Actually, the thing that makes the show, I hope, work for people, but also makes it so incredibly hard to write on a weekly basis is that there is no formula. I think we finally stumbled on the, end every episode with a bang formula about 4 episodes into the season, but other than that, starting each new episode is like starting a movie from scratch, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's often got a nice unpredictable quality for the audience, and so they never feel like, in the first 10 minutes a character lies, and in the second 10 minutes a character gets caught in the lie, and then in the final 10 minutes we all learn a very valuable lesson. And we just don't do that, and it drives structure purists crazy. It makes our jobs really difficult, but I think it actually also makes for a pretty wild ride.
well, the one thing that you managed to do too is you don't lead us on, you don't lead viewers on. Like, we're not always waiting for some resolution. You seem to give us a little prize in every episode and then start something new.
I think that you gotta deliver on the goods you're given, if anything, people have said to us that we give it too fast. That they're like, wait a second, I just got intrigued by this, and now all of a sudden you're giving it all up, and I'm like, we got more, don't you worry.
Are you ever afraid to run out of ideas?
No, we've got, there's like 7,200 books, I think, that we can always reference, and 10 characters and more that get added by the day, and really great, being able to this year go from Tyler and Caroline, who I think had all of like one scene together last year, and start a friendship and a relationship between the two of them that, exponentially that can grow and grow and grow, and I don't think we'll ever run out of opportunity.
Right. Well, you guys had a lot of the great, exciting plots this season. So let's talk a little bit about that. Caroline was just this sweet girl, and now she's a vampire. Why don't you tell me about that, the hospital scene when she's bitten and she becomes a vampire?
Oh man, it was an interesting, it was a bittersweet feeling reading, and then Caroline gets suffocated. Because it's scary, but it's also exciting. I knew it was going to be a great opportunity and a great challenge that the writers presented me with, and the character with. And all the hospital stuff was shot over about a day and a half, and the nurse was, very lovely to work with, and all the stunt guys were very, helpful, and it was my first time doing any of the vamping stunts. I got great advice from Nina, Ian, and Paul saying, just make sure that you have your vamp face worked out. That kind of was the first thing to be prepared with.
That's kind of like now become your signature, your vamp move, the thing you do when you're like, I'm gonna go way back and tomorrow. You're the only one that does that, so it's like the signature Caroline vamp move.
Yeah, everyone always makes fun of me saying it looks like a hair commercial.
It does.
They're like, okay, Pantene, let's ease down. It was, I feel, as an actor, I learned a lot, and I think for Caroline as a character, I think it was a great opportunity for the character.
All right, and then Michael, Tyler's transformation. Really intense stuff.
Yeah, it's by far the most I've been challenged as an actor. I'm glad that we didn't rush into it. It was written brilliantly, and we had Marco Siega, who I'm very close with, and who knew, I trusted him 100%. And we had an amazing crew, and we shot on a closed set, and I was in a very vulnerable state the whole time. But there took a lot. At least a few weeks of preparation to get there. One day of rehearsal before, and we shot it in 2 days, 2 back-to-back days that were about 14 hours of me just chained up and pretty much naked. So it's if it wasn't for the crew that we have there, and honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for Candice, because the things that you don't see behind the scenes that aren't in the script, you know, for me to get there emotionally, over 2 days it's like a marathon, and you can run out of gas, and so you don't want to overexert yourself. And Candice helped me in that, where, you know, in scenes where she was kind of telling me to calm down, there was no dialogue there, it wasn't in the script, but she just took it upon herself to kind of just talk to me, her soft little voice, right in my ear, and just kind of tell me to calm down, it's okay. And it really did help me, and if it wasn't for little things like that, it wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have got there as easy. So I want to say thank you for that, lovely. But, and at the end of the day, it was amazing that in post-production, all the CGI work, the sound, and the way everything was edited together, it was really good, and I'm happy with it.
We really wanted to make sure that that Tyler's transformation, the werewolf transformation, was as much of a human experience as it was anything else. And you know, we sort of messed with his head a little bit, but really it's very true. We likened it to labor. You know, it's waves and waves of contractions and most tremendous pain you ever feel that kind of like come over you and then release for a little while, and you're just going through it again and again, and it's the most vulnerable place you can be. And it's really a true sort of shedding your skin as an adolescent and coming into your own as a man kind of moment. I'm getting all like waxy poetic about it, but for him to, I mean, it's the acting that carried that whole sequence. We had some cool arm breaking and a back ripple and then some sound effects to really bring it out, but it really was his willingness to just expose himself to that level and to kind of vomit it all out there that made it work. So thank you.
So how much of that was CGI and you did the lenses, right? And
Yeah,
a lot of makeup stuff.
We have lenses that we have manufactured for him that we then accentuate sometimes in like certain tight close-up shots with little CGI. Fangs are applied.
They're fitted. I got, so nobody else can really wear them. They just pop right in on my K-19. Can I get those, by the way, at the end of the season? Or, is that somebody else's property, or can I?
When you die, you can take them home with you.
Well, you can keep them forever, as long as I don't die. But we can make a better trade-off here.
And then, of course, the hand breaking and the back ripple, and then the full wolf shots were all computer generated by Enter the RFX house. But the rest of it was a lot of the stuff where his limbs are flying all around and we added sounds of bones breaking and all that was actually just what we call actor action.
Did you have a big discussion about, before you showed the wolves, like how you would show them? Because like being human, you know, it's all CGI, it's kind of, you know, the man wolf. You know?
Yeah.
But you have the actual wolf by the end of it. So was there a large, did you talk a lot about that?
I mean, Kevin and I, one of our shining professional moments as friends and partners, made this little gem called Cursed, which is a werewolf movie that had a gazillion-dollar werewolf design in which a gazillion dollars of, you know, CGI were created to do what at the time between Rick Baker and the guys at K&B and Kevin wanted to be a kind of groundbreaking idea, which is a werewolf that could both be sort of like a four-legged creature and a two-legged creature. So it wasn't wolf man or it wasn't wolf, it was something in between. And we learned so many painful and unbelievable lessons from that process, and the very first thing we said was we cannot rely on visual effects to tell this story, not on a TV schedule, not on a TV budget. And you know, our whole show is grounded in almost like a biological reality, as silly as that might sound. That, you know, the rules of the vampires, the way the witches tap into nature for their spells, and we wanted to make sure that the werewolves were the same thing. And so while there is a mystical element to the transformation itself, the animal itself is a wolf. Of course, that comes with its own set of problems, but you're all good. So.
Wolf wranglers, yeah, wolf wranglers.
Wolf wranglers, everything.
All right. I have a reader that wanted to know, Candice, how does thick blood taste?
It depends what recipe. There's all kinds of recipes. There's sugar-free unsettled Jell-O is one, which actually isn't as bad as it sounds. There's also just kind of that naked juice. They do vary and they add different juices to it. Sometimes it's just straight up corn syrup. That's the ickiest one. It's just a little too thick and sweet on the tongue. But yeah, it's an interesting thing when they're concocting all these blood recipes.
All right. Julie, how important was it to have Caroline experience the transformation with Tyler?
Oh, I mean,
I know
beyond for them as a team, as a friendship, for Caroline as a character, for Tyler as a character. You know, it's funny. I was talking earlier today about Uncle Mason and how tragic it was to have to kill off such a fine-looking young man. And you know, but the whole point was that we knew we wanted Tyler to be all alone when this came around. The biggest, most life-altering experience, personally and physically for him, and he was going to have nobody, no father, no mentor, no friend, and that would pave way for an unlikely friend to step in and help him through it. And you know, Caroline's whole journey is, everybody thought she was so selfish in season 1 and kind of self-centered, but in reality she just kind of loves too much and cares too much and just wants people to connect with her, and that's been kind of her Achilles heel as a human, which became sort of her greatest asset as a vampire, which is that she was able to step into a really perilous situation and be this kid's friend and be there for him. And you know, that's what I thought was so beautiful about it, is just the bond of two unlikely supernatural creatures that shouldn't be in the same room with each other on a full moon, and yet her unwillingness to leave him, not wanting him to be alone.
So for you two, if Tyler comes back, what do you want to see happen? I mean, they sort of left where they weren't talking to each other. They left it at, at that point where, he kind of likes her and she's mad at him for not helping her get out of the torture thing. So what do you hope happens if he comes back?
I think it depends on the circumstance and the intention of him coming back. And, and I think that's going to be the biggest factor.
I would want him to come back and try and start that relationship again, to be honest with you. But then I'm thinking, on Tyler's departure, he did have a real, heart-to-heart with Matt, and it was really just like, this isn't right, this is who she should be with, and so I want you to be happy, but take care of her, or I'll probably wolf out on you and kill you. But, it is going to be interesting. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen and how they're going to react, but it's going to be a moment. It's going to be something special.
All right, so Candice, speaking as Caroline, who's the better kisser?
The girl doesn't kiss and tell.
I would if I kissed her. What such luck.
All right, so this brings up something that you and I were talking about a little bit ago, which was the romance on the show, and how it's sort of that old Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet thing. You said something interesting about what you guys talk about for each episode with the romance. I was wondering if you could share it with them.
Yeah, we've got witches doing magnificent witchy things, and vampires being vampy, and wolves being wolfy, and that's all great, and that's why the show is so exciting. But when we begin to tell a story, we start in a place of what is our love story? Who are these people who love each other? And it's not just romantic love, it's platonic love, it's the family unit, it's where do your loyalties lie, who do you trust, who can you count on, and who's going to be there by your side to lead you through the most complicated time in your life, whether it be a transformation or just growing up. And those relationships are very, very trying and painful, and they're not always going to end well, and and they're going to shift and they're going to turn, and you're going to have your first love and then your first real love, or you're going to fall in love with your best friend and then realize that that maybe that you got to take a different journey on your path growing up. And everything that we do comes out of
really cementing the emotional relationships on the show, so that we can have the fun with the Romeo and Juliet of a vampire and a werewolf, and the human caught in between with his best friend and the girl that he loves, and and of course, as we all know, the Stefan and Elena and Damon of it all. There's so much to play with there, and it's the cheesy girl side of me and of all of us, but it's really where everything is built from in the show.
All right. And earlier we talked about the torture scene and Tyler's transformation, pretty intense scenes. I was wondering, Candice and Michael, how do you guys unplug after that?
Pardon?
How do you guys unplug after that? Is it easy to just like wash that away and go home and you're fine?
Absolutely not, no.
Chocolate chip cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies don't hurt. Chocolate chip cookies don't hurt.
Production got pizzas.
Well, when we wrapped, after the 2
Yeah,
days,
yeah.
yes, one of our awesome ADs, Tony, he got me a pizza, because again, aside from just, it's not like, oh, here's a pizza, like, I had to kind of get in shape for that, and so like, I had to give up, my chocolate chip cookies and everything else, and so, it was once we wrapped, I just, I demolished that large pizza by myself for sure, and had cookies afterwards, but that's how you unwind, but it's, throughout the course of that day, I wasn't able to. I kind of, when we would set up different shots, I obviously had the choice to go back to my chair or just take the chains off, and it just became so much that I just laid there and just kind of put my iPod on and just kind of tried to relax and stay in that moment. That's just how you that's how I got through it.
How did you even dig that deep? I mean, did you have to go to like the personal place, or did you have to create a world?
It's a real dark place. Just don't want to talk about it.
It's impressive.
All right, so that brings me to the fact that you guys shoot 10 months out of the year in Atlanta, where nobody is from, right? Let's talk about that.
Yes.
So what do you do for fun?
What do you not to do for fun? Atlanta's awesome.
No, but I mean,
No,
you guys
yeah,
all
no,
hang out
but-
together? And
Yeah.
Let's talk about the lake. We go to Lake Lanier.
Yeah, a lot of
Right.
great times when it like Lanier. There's
Zach Rower has a boat, and so we'll all jump on that boat and just go and we'll wakeboard and tube and stuff when the weather's warm. It snowed a little bit of a.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
you
a
guys
little
all
bit,
hit in.
a little bit of, well,
I hit the slopes.
she hit the slopes. I stayed in. I'm from LA, so snow, I was just like, I'm walking out my door and I live in, I got to deal with driving through the snow. This, how to deal with that. Have you guys had to deal with that? Snow? So, we don't mind, but we all hang out.
It's actually really great for, it's hard for them because they're away from home and they're stuck in a state that they're not from, and they're, living in apartments and leaving their houses behind, but it's been really positive for the community of the cast. You hear all these horror stories about shows where everyone hates each other and they come to work and they're like, like my trailer's not as big as your trailer and your dick, and excuse my language and all that. And our, this cast, like, granted they're all a bunch of really nice people, so that helps too, but they have this familial spirit that lets them really connect with each other on an emotional level, and then of course we get to see that in action and get our ideas from that, and one sort of feeds the other. It's nice.
I think it all really started on the pilot as well. I mean, we shot the pilot in Vancouver over about a month, and I think you guys just set up just a great opportunity. We all spent time together immediately. Like as soon as we got to Vancouver, as soon as Kat, Kayla, and myself actually flew together. As soon as we met Nina, and it was like dinner, read through, first night, and from then on, it was just this understanding of, we're in it together, and that's the only way to get through it. It's a team. It very much is a team, and not just within the cast, but with the crew as well, and with the production team, and we're very, very lucky.
Yeah, I think it shows though too. I think it shows between characters, 'cause you could be an amazing actor, but at the end of the day, if you're really working with somebody that you're maybe supposed to like or have a relationship with, and you guys just really don't get along, it's going to show. And I think all of our characters right now with the storylines that certain characters are involved in with one another, everything's meshing, everything's going well.
These guys all spend average of 14 hours a day, sometimes up to 16 and 17, 5 days a week, no weekends, you know, because you're working till 7 in the morning on Saturday, and you gotta be up at 5 in the morning on a Monday. And they work, the cast and crew work really, really, really hard. And so I'm glad that they actually can enjoy each other in those moments, because that's kind of all you get to see. It's so sad. Oh, what?
So Candice, Kat Graham one time told me that you guys have gone karaoke before.
Maybe.
And I was wondering if that
we
was...
go to disco dance class.
Oh,
Maybe that's what it was.
that's right, it was disco dance class.
Yeah.
But, okay, well then, never mind about, is that the reason you got her to sing on the show?
Well, Candice used to be, a little known secret, a backup singer. Before, you want to tell your own story?
Well, tell me more, Julie. No, I initially moved to Los Angeles to pursue a career in music, and I did a record when I was 16, and I was a Maverick at the time. And while on the label, they were doing a lot of cross promotion, so they were like, "Well, why don't you, try your hand at acting?" And while we're finishing up your record, so that's kind of how I got into the business, and I just fell in love with it, and in the business, not just the art of it, and so. And then when there was a writer's strike, I toured as a backup singer for a while, and so it
Where?
with Miley Cyrus, and on the Best of Both Worlds tour, and so it was interesting that it definitely was, like a career shock being on a set all the time, and there was a lot to learn, and so it was interesting when I finally found that level of comfortability, and then I got the opportunity to jump on stage and have both of those worlds finally, cross paths within my own life. It was a really special moment. It was very cool, and thank you.
Well, what was great for us is we knew that she had a singing background, but we never heard her sing, and so we actually came up with a story without really, with wanting to have Caroline sing a moment in that. And then we were like, oh God, it just sucks. Like, so I kind of emailed her, I'm like, you can sing, right? Do you have anything? And she's like, well, I produced an album. And I was like, oh, okay, can I have the link to iTunes, And then heard her voice, and when she recorded that song, we were all so happy, because, it's all pure, pure Candice voice, and that she did a great job.
So would you like to sing a little for us now? You know what? You don't have to. There is a rock band stage out there.
There is?
There is, and I think maybe you should try that out a little bit later.
Oh, wait, a rock band?
Yeah, there's a rock band stage out there.
If you sing
What do you think?
I might see you later.
All right, Chris, how are we doing on time? Good. Okay. Great. All right, so it's time for teasers.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Because everybody wants to have a teaser now and then, right?
I get yelled at when I get a teaser.
All right, we'll start with Michael. Tyler's left town.
Yes.
We're wondering where he's been and what he's up to.
I honestly, I don't know. There's a person at this table that can answer that question. I don't know where Tyler is or when exactly he'll be back, and honestly, I think if he did come back, I would like to know. I hope it's not just like everything's back to normal. I would hope that something's changed in him, whether he's grown as a man and his wolf style or something, or has he been to like wolf camp with everybody, like trying to learn martial arts, or just kind of like hand-to-hand combat? Like what has he learned? Where has he been? And that's what I hope, that we could just kind of explore or explain what he's been up to whenever he comes back to town. That's not much of a tease about. That's just what I'm hoping for.
All right, Candice, you guys are on the best of terms right now. If he comes back, would Caroline make him do things to make it up to her? Like what would, I didn't mean it like that, right? But, I would think that she would put him through his paces a little bit to get, I would think that she would put him through his paces a little bit to make him earn her respect again or whatever.
I think that it really just depends on on the nature of his return and his intention. And you know, I mean, at this point, obviously, leading up to the finale, it's, you know, about the sacrifice. And so what I think has been really great is learning everyone's intricate part and what they play within that. And you know, and how it's going to actually play out. And so whether or not he's a part of it, whether or not Caroline's a part of it, and whether or not their paths cross within that.
She's gonna crack the whip when he comes back. Yeah, so you're gonna lay it down. You're gonna let him know what time it is, I'm sure.
Down, boy.
There's a basement full of chains.
The change is still there.
So who do you guys want Caroline to choose?
Chicago.
All right, so Julie, you know everything. So tell us, just, you know, April 7th, know the enemy is coming, and what's going on?
Well, all right. So I've talked before, and you know, to other people, and I always said that you know we like to tell our seasons in chapters, and you know we had the sort of the werewolf chapter and the Rose Elijah chapter, and we are heading just on a collision course right now with the Klaus chapter, and the sacrifice to break the curse of the sun and the moon, and everything that we start up when we get back off hiatus is all about that. Where is Klaus? Does he know about Elena? What is Isabel doing back in town? Is this sacrifice ritual, you know, gonna happen? Are we gonna be able to get ourselves out of it? Will the doppelganger die? Will a werewolf die? Who will the werewolf be? Who will the vampire be? I mean, there's so much. There's so much. No, I'm kidding. There's so much that's coming that it's like one thing on the next. On the next, we've got another decade dance coming up. We're dabbling in the 60s this time around, and then we've got another flashback episode before the season's out, and another full moon episode before the end of the season. And you know, with full moons do come werewolves. So if anything, I want to taste a little bit of that.
Little hint. So this thing with the curse. By the way, if you guys have questions, start lining up. I think they're over there. I don't know where they are. There are microphones. Start lining up. With the curse, the idea is that if the vamps break the curse, they can walk in daylight, right? And if the werewolves do, they can change at will.
Correct.
What do you think about having them do it at the same time?
So that they both get what they want? I think that would suck for the human population.
But it would open up a lot of story for you, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
All right. So if you won't say anything more about that, that's cool. All right, I guess we can start. I can't see a thing, but somebody just shout out. There we go. Start right here, in the middle.
Okay. So I have two quick questions. The first one is if I had to pick one thing about the many awesome things that are happening this season, I really like the expansion of kind of the mythology of the show, like the vampires and the werewolves and all of that. How does, like, what do you reference? Because some of it is so interesting and unique, and some of it, you know, you're obviously referencing like other materials. And how does that develop? Like, is it something you planned already and you're just revealing to us now, or is it more organic than that?
Oh, it's a free-for-all. It's, you know, look, the Klaus is a big character in the books, a big moment in the books, and as is Tyler Lockwood is a werewolf, and so there, you know, from the beginning of the series, we knew that one day Tyler would become, and you know, and one day Klaus would be introduced, and outside of that, a lot of what we do is just try to think, how can we tell this story differently? How can we, you know, embrace the rules and mythology that people are familiar with, and then turn them on their heads a bit so that we can, you know, have new rules and new opportunities. And you know, I was telling somebody earlier that characters like Elijah, you know, who are just sort of brought in to serve a purpose for an episode or two, who turn out to be so extraordinary. as played by Daniel Gillies, the actor, that you end up wanting him to never go away. And so a lot of story comes from situations like that too.
Okay, cool. And my second question really fast is, I'm an aspiring actor, so, wink, but, but seriously, at least when I try to do it, it comes from like kind of my own experience sometimes. So I was wondering, since there aren't vampires and there aren't werewolves, how do you access, those kinds of, those scenes where, you really have to deal with being a vampire, being a werewolf?
Use that imagination. Use it all. Just live in your mind, man. Just make it up.
And I'm also, I think it's just, I'm grateful that the writers just do such a wonderful job with the characters in a way that even though it is a supernatural, these characters do have supernatural qualities, the circumstances can still be humanized. And that's my favorite part about any of the supernatural events that have gone on.
We say that all the time. The situations might be extraordinary, but the root of it all is a very ordinary human experience. That's just an extraordinary context. So find the grounded truth that you can pull from, and then go from there.
Great, thank you.
All right, over here in the red.
A couple of questions. Julie, did we meet during lunchtime regarding... Oh, okay, the reason why I say this is I think someone mentioned to me that they wished I had a great time with my girlfriend at my first convention. So the second part of my thing that I wanted to say is it's my girlfriend's birthday, it just passed. So what would make it great is if all three of you can wish her a happy birthday.
What's her name?
Her name's Angelica. Angelica, could you stand up? She's kind of right here in the middle.
Oh my gosh.
It's so embarrassing.
So if you could just wish her happy birthday or shake her hand, it'd be great. I'm so glad.
Candice. No.
All right,
Sorry. Happy birthday, Angelica.
Happy birthday.
What was behind your decision to bring the character of Jonathan Gilbert back to the show?
David Anders paid us a lot of money. John, there is never going to be a character on our show who is just a jerk, for lack of more R-rated words, and nothing beyond that. We got to explore the jerk side of Uncle John last year, and there were still more stories out because no one is just mean. Villains are not just evil. There's always something going on that's making them make their decisions, and we always say, as long as there's still a story to tell with a character, we're going to tell it. Plus, he's just so good at being bad. He's just such a jerk, and we like that. He's fun.
All right, over here.
When and why did Michael start acting?
I was, let's see, I graduated high school, and prior to that, didn't try any acting. I didn't know anybody in the business. I did 1 year of a junior college after high school, and it was that time that I was kind of just maturing, I guess. As a man, I wasn't so high school anymore. I was kind of like, all right, I have to do something with my life. And it was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to try and to pursue it. And I'm very I'm very spontaneous, and if I want to go after it, I'm gonna do it 100%. So I really just made an agreement with my parents because they both wanted me to go to college and earn my degree. And I had an agreement with them that I would take a year off to pursue this acting. And within that year, I studied a lot. The first thing I did was join a theater group and did a lot of plays. And within that process, I got signed by an agent, started auditioning. And it was my first major job that held me from going back to college because my year was ending. And so my parents were like, well, hey, what's up with the jobs you're booking? What's going on here? And so I booked this Disney Channel movie called Cowbells. And that was like the first thing when they were like, okay, you're 19 years old, they're flying you to Toronto, you're paying you how much, and they're putting you up. And to them it was kind of mind-blowing, like, oh, so this is legit, like you're doing this, and it's all going to be on the Disney Channel. So to them it was like a big thing. And I was 19, I was super stoked. So that's, and ever since then I've been gradually climbing that ladder, so I've been doing well for myself. But it was basically, I just wanted to try acting and see if I could do it. So far, I've been doing well for myself. And it's, at the end of the day, it's like, if you have a dream, if you want to do something, don't let anything hold you back. Like, just go for it, try it out. Don't let anybody hold you back. And the mind is such a powerful thing. And if you believe you can do it, just don't give up. Just go, try it. Don't, do what you want to do.
Did you play the cowbells?
No, but I milked the cow. No, it was pretty awesome.
All right, way over there.
Yeah, with the introduction of Catalina and Eliza in this season, I noticed that the tone of the show got darker. Is with the introduction of Klaus in the upcoming episodes gonna feature the same? Is it gonna get darker? Are people gonna get killed like worse ways? It's gonna be gory.
Yeah, maybe. Yes. No, it's funny, because I thought we were pretty damn dark already, so I didn't know that there was darker that we could go to. But if it feels like there's been a tonal shift, I mean, you've got these originals, these old world characters who are nearly impossible to defeat, and Klaus, who is the most terrifying and feared vampire in the history of time, and for him to come in and do a karaoke number, I think would not be living up to the potential of Klaus. And, I mean, we never do anything, or we try not to do anything to be gratuitous, or just to have blood for the sake of blood, or gore for the sake of gore, but we do like to get bloody, and we like to get dirty, and people are always gonna die, people that you love are always gonna die, because the situation is life or death, and the stakes are that high, and so, it is our job as storytellers to continue to deliver on that, so that you guys never feel like we've gotten stale.
Candice, who do you think Caroline should end up with personally? Who do you personally think she should end up with? Tyler, Matt, or Damon?
Definitely not Damon. I mean, he did try to kill her a couple times. That's not a good way to start off a relationship. I keep getting that question asked, and what I like about both of the relationships is I think that they bring about the age-old question is, where does the best relationship start from? A friendship or a first love? And so I think with Matt, obviously, it's that quality of a first love, and with Tyler, it's blossoming from a friendship. And so I really think it's all just going to depend on getting to know these characters better and what happens next. But yeah, who knows? We'll see.
Sounds good, thank you.
Michael, do you have any feelings on that?
Well, I liked the way you kind of got out of that. It was smooth. I liked it. Quite a simple Tyler or Matt.
And if you can sing your answer.
And if you can sing your answer. No, don't tell me.
Next question.
Over here.
Okay, this time I promise I won't cry.
Oh,
But I have two quick questions. First, is there any way I could send you guys fan mail?
yeah.
Absolutely, I don't.
We're gonna get Chris or Tammy. Oh, Tammy's right there. Tammy will help you out with that.
Alright, and second, when will I see Paul Wesley shirtless again?
Let me think if that scene has already been shot, or if it is something I need to go home and make sure happens.
I think so.
Dang, on the spot. I'll have to take a look at that. But if it's not already, I will remedy it before the season finale.
I think I'd like that.
I think I would too.
So I take it you're the one who interjects all those scenes into the scripts.
Well, it's funny because we want our actors work really hard. I mean, really, really, really hard to embody their characters. And it sounds so dumb, but like, you want to let them show that hard work every now and then, you know? It's not just like, oh, let's put in a gratuitous shirtless scene here. It's like, this is a piece of art that we gotta hang on the wall.
You're damn right it is.
You know? If a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, like, no one gets to see the work.
Hi. First I just wanted to say, Michael, you are just as gorgeous in person as you are on TV.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
And my question is, what has been your favorite scene so far? Not necessarily one you've been in, but like any of the scenes so far.
It really would have to be the transformation scene, just because me and Candice, I love the way that we work together, and also I had the most fun shooting that, believe it or not. But it was also just the most like exhausting and painful. But at the end of the day, I was glad that once we were done shooting it, I was just so happy, and I felt like I grew as an actor. So like in my career, I felt like that was a big jump. It was a challenge, and that I beat that challenge, and so that has to be the most meaningful to me.
And also for Candice and Julie.
Favorite scenes for Caroline, there are a couple. I really loved the scene between Caroline and Paul in the bathroom after the transformation. It was kind of a similar thing. It was just it was a very lovely personal moment for myself. But for Caroline, I also loved the moment between her and her mother, which is to compel her mother. And then, just the 12-year-old little girl inside of me thinks the whole, her jumping on stage and serenading and it was just fun. And every scene with Tyler.
They're all my favorites. I'm the mother. They're all the babies. I can't pick one, although I was thinking if I had to pick one, it would be Caroline and her mom. And the whole, you might be able to accept me for who I am, but you'll never trust the people that are that important to me. And I just, that scene breaks my heart every time. I love it.
Thank you.
Right here.
Okay, my question is for Candice. I just wanted to know, is Caroline's friendship with Bonnie, is that going to keep growing? Like, is that going to develop again?
Yes, it began to develop as the season's gone on since the transformation, and I mean, I hope so. I know that there's been a lot of story to tell, but those have also been really important moments, I think, throughout the seasons, those moments of the women coming together, because, each of the girls are kind of within their own love triangles within the show, and, there's all the sacrifice, and there's death, and all this crazy stuff happening, and I think it's a really great moment when all the women of the show come together, and as opposed to a lot of other, shows on television where women are, hating on each other, backstabbing each other constantly, and in just really snarky ways. It's beautiful to see these three really support each other. And yeah, it's been great, and I look forward to more scenes like that whenever there's an opportunity.